Hello everyone, welcome to the Tristar Gym channel. Today we're going to be looking at how to escape the bottom position when mounted. When your opponent's on top, there's a lot of attacks you can do, so you need to spend as little time as possible in this position. Okay, the first thing you need to do when your opponent's mounted you can see here that my partner's on top. He's got his hips heavy and low, and he's got my legs hooked. The first thing I got to do is organize my legs. Okay, my legs have to, I have to free up my legs real quick here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kick towards the ceiling. Once I kick towards the ceiling, he's no longer able to follow me. And right here, I kick my foot to the ceiling and bring my heels as close as possible to my body, making sure that there's no gap here. You see the space here between my heels and my body? My body and my heels are in contact. There is no space. If you leave any space there, your opponent will be able to dig his legs back in. See, I'm making space here. I'm sprawling my legs out. He hooks them back all over again. And I have to start the process all over again. Okay, so I kick my heels to the ceiling, kick my legs to the ceiling, heels tight to the body. Don't allow him any gaps. He's trying to put his leg back in. He's unable to dig his leg back in. Okay, another common scenario here is your opponent will cross his legs. Okay, he'll cross his legs. And you won't be able to hip escape until you break this this grip he has around your hips. Okay, so watch what I'm going to do. My left leg is going to come over the top. I'm going to step on the back of his Achilles here and just strip his hooks apart. Okay, so it'll be real easy for me to do. And then I go back to my bridge positions. Heel fully in contact with the body, making sure there's no gaps for him to cross his legs underneath my legs. Okay, one more time. His legs are crossed. I step over the top, strip his hooks, keep those heels tight to the body, making sure there's no space. And now when you're in bridge position, you're going to be able to create motion. When you're on the bottom, you definitely want to create motion. The man on top's job is to create stability. The man on the bottom's job is to create motion and try to scramble to a better position. Okay, we're going to do it one last time here. Legs are crossed, step over, chop his leg off, and get into your organized leg position. Now look here. My hands are working also. Okay, so not only am I organizing my legs, I gotta organize my arms. Look at this frame position here. This is exactly the position you want. One arm across his body, so that when he tries to put his weight on you, he tries to glue his hips to you, he won't be able to. And from there, you're going to be able to bridge and escape your knee. Now, we're going to get to the knee escape. We're going to show a lot of slides on the knee escape, and I'm going to make it super clear. But before we get to that, we got to understand the frame. Now, you see here, I have a full frame. My frame has to be able to withstand his body weight. Now, I have two points of contact here that are very important. One, my elbow that's touching the ground, and two, my forearm that's in contact with his hips. It's very important that the arm that's on the bottom, the one where the elbow's in contact with the ground, the one that's supported by the ground, has to be the hand that's doing the gripping. Okay, so if you look at my right hand, it's gripping the left hand. Sometimes people do it the opposite way when I teach this, and you'll see that you won't be able to withstand his entire body. You know, when my frame is gripped correctly, I'm able to withstand his entire body. Now look what happens if I switch my grip. If the upper hand, the top hand, is the one doing the gripping, all you're relying on now is the grip strength to support you. There's no more ground to support you, and your frame will collapse when you bridge. Okay, so it's really important to organize your frame correctly. Now here it is again. I'm doing the frame. I've stripped my legs free. My legs get in bridging position. I bridge and I knee escape. Okay, so now here's another common scenario. Okay, so we're gonna look at what happens when you try to slide your knee. Sometimes I try to slide my knee. So if you see here, what I'm doing is I'm bridging up and then I'm pushing with my elbow into his knee. I'm trying to get this knee here all the way back inside my guard. So what happens oftentimes when you do this, my opponent will squeeze his knee inside. Okay, he'll push his knee inside and give me no space to slide in my own leg. Okay, so I'm trying to bring this knee up here forward. We all know this, but let's look at the little details here that can make a huge difference when you're stuck on the bottom. Okay, I'm not able to slide my knee across. Now watch what I'm going to do. I can't slide my knee across. I'm going to continue the hip rotation. Notice that my knees, here my knees, are pointing up towards the ceiling. Okay, so, and you can see that the height of my bridge is not so great. What am I going to do is I'm going to invert my knees. Okay, so once I invert my knees here, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to bridge. I'm going to invert my knees. See now my knees, if you can't see my left knee. I'm going to show you guys a nicer shot of this a little later, but you got to see it from this angle too. You can now see that my knee is pointing more towards the ground. Okay, so when I do this, not only do I create more hip elevation, but I also create a tunnel here. And I'm going to show you guys the tunnel in a second here. When I create this tunnel, I'm going to be able to slide my knee through and go right into my leg lock situation. Okay, so watch here. I'm trying to bridge, and here there's plenty of space for me to slide in my knee here. Okay, so this tunnel is big enough for me to slide in my knee. But what I want is, sometimes that tunnel is not there, and I got to create it. So I got to spend a little bit more energy by turning my knees to the mat, elevating my hips a little bit higher, and creating a larger tunnel. Okay, so let's take a look at this larger tunnel that I'm going to create here. I'm going to bridge. I'm not able to pass my knee. I bridge. Look at that tunnel here. Look at this tunnel you've created. I'm pointing my knees towards the mat now. You see my toes are pointing towards the mat. That brings my hips up. Okay, I'm going to illustrate that again a little bit later to make it more clear. And it creates a huge tunnel. Look at this tunnel now. Now I'm going to be easily able to escape my hips here. Okay. Now when you escape your knee and your hips, most people will go back to guard. I like to go straight to a leg lock because it takes me from the bottom position to the top position. Okay, very easily. So watch here now. We have a beautiful bridge escape here and knee escape combination from BJ Penn. You could see here that he's also committed to turning his. See, look at his foot here. His foot is now upside down. He's not bridging on the soles of his feet. He originally bridged on the soles of his feet, but now he's turned his knee upside down. If you could see through Matt Hughes' arm here, you would notice that BJ Penn, his knee is pointing downwards now. It has to be. Look at his foot. Okay, his foot is also pointing downwards. When you do this, you create more hip elevation. Okay, we're going to see that shortly also. And you create this tunnel here. Remember that tunnel we're just showing right now? Look how BJ has created this tunnel now, and he's able to escape both his knees quite easily or quite comfortably against a bigger and stronger opponent. Here he's escaping from side control / double leg. You could do it's the same principle when you're mounted. Okay, so here it is. Here's the standard bridge. Okay, my soles of my feet are on the ground. You can see that clearly here, and look at the elevation I get in my hips. Okay, so the elevation is pretty good. You know, could be better. If I don't need to elevate anymore, I won't rotate. But if I do need to elevate more, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this rotation a little bit more. I would say about 25% more, 15% more at least. Okay, so watch here. I'm going to do that now a couple of times. So I'm bridging the standard bridge up and kind of turn. But now eventually I'm going to need more power. I need to create a bigger tunnel. And there it is. Look at that hip elevation. That hip elevation is far greater than it was before. Look how high I've gotten towards the ground. And I did it by turning my knees towards the mat. See? Just like we saw before, toes towards the mat. And look at that hip elevation. That creates the tunnel. Once I create this tunnel, guys, this is the heart of the elbow escape. This is the heart of the knee escape, okay? I'm going to be able to escape this knee, all right? So I won't do this all the time. I only do it if my original bridge was not strong enough to create space, okay? Because this does cost a little more energy. Now, here's another scenario. Your opponent is punching you in this scenario. Now, your jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, jiu-jitsu has to be universal. Universal jiu-jitsu will work in a street fight, in a mat competition, in Abu Dhabi, in gi, no gi. Your jiu-jitsu has to work everywhere. You know, I always tell people I admire Damian Maia's jiu-jitsu because not only was he world champion in gi, no gi, he also fought for a world title in MMA. He's one of the top fighters in mixed martial arts. His jiu-jitsu really works everywhere. It's not specific to a certain situation. So that's why I always kind of like to touch on these type of situations. Not because we don't do pure jiu-jitsu. We do tons of pure jiu-jitsu. But we have to also understand that our jiu-jitsu needs to it has to be applicable in any situation. So here my opponent is punching me. I'm going to do the exact same thing. My bridge escape is ready to defend me against a gi attack, no gi attack, and a street fight attack. Here's the bridge. My legs are already organized. You notice my arms are going straight in frame position. I bumped. I created some elevation here. His knees are off the mat. Look at that giant tunnel. I'm going to be able to slide my knees right into leg lock. And again, I love leg lock because if I start applying a heel hook here, we're going to start spinning, and that's going to lead me to getting on top, okay? So that's why I prefer more than guard. Now look here, my opponent's giving me some headbutts here. The first thing I want to do is I want to tuck my head in. I want to lift my head up off the floor. Now, if he would try to headbutt me here, he would be hitting me with the soft tissues of his face, and he would be hitting the top of my head. He would hurt himself here if he tried this. This is just changing the angle. This is just me changing the angle. Little stuff like this you need to know if you're going to be doing this in a street fight altercation or a self-defense situation. Okay, he will no longer be able to attack me with a headbutt. Here's another angle of the bridge. And now here I'm going to be doing it solo just to show you guys exactly what it would look like. You know, if my partner's not in the way here, you get a better view. Notice I have one leg that's straight. See, this leg is straight and this leg is bent. Okay, this leg is nicely bent. This leg right here is responsible for bridging. This leg right here, okay, is the one I want to escape. Okay, so right here, if my opponent were strangling me or trying to throw a punch, I would use this leg right here to bump and knock him off balance like we saw before. And this leg is primed right now to slide up and escape me right away to a leg lock and turn the situation around. Okay, so you see here how I'm organizing my legs. I'm freeing my legs from any tie-ups you might have. Get in bridge position, create space, slide your knee in, get the sole of your foot on his hips and push him away. There's a couple more shots. You know, now there's a few other things that can happen when you're mounted by an opponent. Look at here. Do you notice the difference here? I won't be able to frame here. If I did a frame here, I wouldn't be able to. Look what I just did there. I started shrimping back. Because I'm gonna rewind it real quick here. When you're in this position here, your opponent is too high and he's under your arms. Notice that my elbows here, they have to be right on top of this knee. I need to connect these two X's together, but I'm unable to when my opponent is so high up. You see how my opponent is high up under my arms? I need to create space. So instead of pushing him back, okay, instead of trying to push him back in this direction, which would be very hard because of all his weight, there's nothing around here from blocking me. See the space? The space is completely empty. It's free to be occupied. I'm gonna just shrimp in that space right now. Okay, watch me shrimp back. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Okay, I'm gonna shrimp back, get to my frame, shrimp back, get to my frame right here, and elbow escape from there. Now here we see a nice little street altercation here. And the guy on the bottom, obviously no real experience in Jiu-Jitsu. He's obviously not a member of this Tristar Gym channel. He's obviously not done his homework, and today he's mounted, and he's frantically trying to get out. Look at my opponent here. He's got, look at his opponent here. He's got his legs crossed from behind, just like we spoke about. Okay, he's got his legs tied up. He's bridging like crazy. He doesn't know how to undo that tie up. Exactly what we were talking about before. He's bridging left. He's bridging right. He's unable to get anywhere with these bridges because he hasn't organized his legs. Okay, that's why organizing your legs is the most important. Now, even with his just twisting and turning, look, he's able to get this elevation from the knee here. See, he's able to get that elevation. He's already able to escape. If you knew a little bit of jiu-jitsu now, he could escape these hips out this way and go right into a leg lock. Okay, but unfortunately for him, he's not prepared for this. And the guy on top of him is just able to control him, sprawl, tie up his legs, and make his life just really tough right now. Okay, guys, that's the end of this episode. Please be sure to practice all the details. There's a lot of details. Create that tunnel, inverting the knees, making sure that your opponent's not too high up before you try to create a frame. And please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm always happy to hear what suggestions you guys have. And in this channel, we're going to be covering everything from jiu-jitsu with the gi, without the gi, street altercations, multiple opponents. We're going to be doing everything from standing to wrestling, etc. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure to push the like button as well. Thank you.